Cocktail, a channel which intends to support teachers and students at college level, and of course the people, the students or teachers who wish to perform well in competitive examinations like the UGC NET, SET, and other such kind of tests. So, without much more introduction, by the way, I am Anujit. I teach English at St. Mary's Arts and Science College, affiliated to Kannur University. So, to everybody, welcome aboard the English Cocktail. So, today's topic is ballad. What is ballad? Ballad is a narrative poem of unknown authority which is transmitted from generation to generation orally. This is a very precise definition. It's not complete yet, and the theme or the story that is told in ballad is of heroic. It may be heroic, it may be tragic, it may be a romantic one, but whatever the theme, whatever the gist of the ballad, it doesn't matter. It is presented in an absolutely impersonal way. That means the poet's personal sentiments, personal suggestions or expressions are completely absent. So this is another trait of a traditional ballad, which is also called folk ballad, F-O-L-K, folk ballad or traditional ballad. And this has been there since many millennia, because according to literary historians, they have they have found out evidences even from the Anglo-Saxon period about the existence of a ballad. Unfortunately, they did not get any single piece from the Old English dialects. Well, the available ballads of today, or to date, stretches back only up to the 14th century, and majority of them were written in the 16th century. And these ballads, they are full of action and dialogues. So in short, the story of a ballad is told by a terse narration where you will find a lot of actions and dialogues. Now, about the origin of ballad, there are different theories. According to some, the ballads were the original poems were written by individual authors, and then it was given to the poems were or the ballads were given to the folk, F-O-L-K, folk, to the group, in order to perform in a public reunion or a function, etc., in a party in modern sense. So and then they took the poem, they recited it, or perhaps they sung it, because a ballad can be sung as well as recited, and they carried on and on and on and on, and the original poet was forgotten. And the second theory is that it was of communal origin. That means a group of people sit together, they think about a particular topic, and they perhaps in a group effort they make a poem of the ballad genre. Well, in either case, you can evidently point out a person, a man or a woman, behind the original version of a poem, no doubt. But it is lost, or he or she is lost. We don't know who that person or that woman or a man who wrote these ballads or those ballads. Because once it was written, completed and performed, it belongs to the group. And you can very, very confidently say that the ballads are actually British counterpart of Indian folk song, like what we call Log Geet in Hindi, or Nadodi Pattu in Malayalam. So therefore, in these cases, you will not find the name of the author who wrote a particular Nadodi Pattu or a folk song. So that is the case with the ballads too. No doubt, there was a person behind the original piece of a poem, which was improvised with time. So that is another feature of the ballads. They are really mutative, means they undergo, or they have underwent multiple mutations or changes because the thing is that it was transmitted orally. It was not printed. At that time, there was not there wasn't the facility to print in the olden times. The printing came to England only in the 15th century. So before that, if there were ballads, of course there were ballads. These ballads were transferred from generation to generation orally, and as it is based on the oral platform, in a sense, it will naturally change with the changes in languages, with the changes in the socio-political milieu. Naturally, these poems also tend to change. And so you can, by seeing a poem which was a ballad of the 15th century, you cannot exactly say that it was written in the 15th century. It may be written in 13th or 14th. So that is the historical aspect of the ballad. Anyway, when we come to the later years or later centuries, you will find that by the 18th century, when the 18th century turned in to Britain, to the English literature, the ballad was almost forgotten until in 1765, Thomas Percy, or Bishop Percy, he published a work titled Relics of Ancient English Poetry. It is very important. In 1765, Bishop Percy published this particular work, which was a collection of Old English, not Old English of the Anglo-Saxon, but Old English songs, and which included plenty of ballads. He compiled ballads of old era, and he published it in 1765, and this brought the popularity of these relics from ancient English, relics of ancient English poetry. It brought a revival to the ballad poetry. So Percy's relics brought a new life to ballads, and the poets of the later generations were tremendously influenced by the spirit, the tone, and the action-packed nature of the ballad. And therefore, you will find in later years, especially during the Romantic period, you will find the poets writing ballads with their own signature. So here comes another version of a ballad, or another type of ballad, and we call it literary ballad. So now we know that there are two types of ballads. One is the folk, popular, or the traditional ballad without an authority, and on the other hand we have a rather modern literary ballad with ballads with specific poets or name associated with it. And therefore in the Romantic period we have a lot of ballads. Some of them are John Keats' famous poem La Belle Dame Sans Mercy, which is exactly written with the background of the medieval period of knight errant and what we call the chivalry. And then we have another famous ballad by none other than Coleridge, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Walter Scott was an admirer of ballad. He wrote ballads like Proud Macy, and even until even in the 20th century, people have attempted to write poetry. Poets wrote poetry in the ballad style. So that is about the literary ballad, but it is not enough, because as this we cannot move into the intricacies and subtleties of these topics in such a video, because the intended or the target audience receivers of this video is of a wide range, and those who are intend to pursue competitive examinations like NET, SET, etc. in a very concentrated manner, you may join online tutorials by contacting the number given below. Okay, let us come back to our main business. So these poets, they wrote ballad with under their name, and that much about the peripheral or the outward things about ballad. Now we are moving to the stylistic or literary features of ballad. It has got what makes ballad is not simply the tone or the theme or the way of telling the dramatic, abrupt start and the impassionate kind of narration. All these things are there, but more than that, we have to look into, as students and teachers of literature, we need to look into the stylistic, or rather the literary features of ballads. Now ballad has created as contributed a stanzaic form, ballad stanza. Not all ballads, but majority of the ballads, a lot of ballads like the famous Ballad of Sir Patrick Spens is written in this particular format, ballad stanza. And ballad stanza is made up of a quatrain. I think you know what is a quatrain. A stanza made up of 4 lines. And in ballad stanza, the alternate lines, that is first line and third line, are made up of 4 feet each. It means 8 syllables in first and the third line, and the second and the fourth line carry 3 feet, and mostly these are iambic feet. So you will have 6 syllables in the second and the fourth lines, and 8 syllables in the first and the third line. And remember, second and the fourth line, they rhyme. So that is the ballad stanza. Now let us look into certain characteristic features of ballad. Now most ballads have got a formula, a set formula, a set of formula. Number one is certain phrases which are used in a very powerful sense. Now what we call a descriptive phrase, a very short descriptive phrase, like milk white steed or blood red wine. Blood red wine, I took it from the Ballad of Sir Patrick Spens. Again, another example from the literary ballad is painted like a painted ship upon a painted ocean. It's from Coleridge's Rime of the Ancient Mariner, and that is the first set of what you can call a formula that is found in almost every ballad. Number two is the presence of a refrain or a repetitive line, a refrain in every stanza. And the third feature of a ballad is the incremental repetition. Incremental repetition in which a line or stanza or even a phrase is repeated with an addition that carries on or advances the story. So these three are the major features of ballad, certain what we call the set formulas that you can identify in ballad. Now that's all about in a very brief manner I have described the ballad, and there are very deep intricacies. As I told you, very subtle questions can be asked from ballad for examinations, like which romantic poets, or you can put the dash there, which poets, which poem, or which poet's last great poem uses the following lines as a prologue from which ballad. So the answer is quite evident, most of us know, which is from it is the poet originally mentioned is Samuel Taylor Coleridge. The poem mentioned is Dejection and Ode, and the prologue is taken from Ballad of Sir Patrick Spens. Again, I remember another phrase, as I told you, short descriptive phrases like milk white steed. Another thing I will explain. I will recite a line, just a single line from the same ballad I mentioned again and again, Ballad of Sir Patrick Spens. To Norway, to Norway, to Norway over the foam. So 3 times Norway comes. To Norway, and the third time Norway over the foam. Right? This is incremental repetition. An example for incremental repetition. For the other one, it is not a form-like phrase. It is an incremental repetition. Right. Now this is just a peripheral, rather overview, not peripheral. I have moved into the topic of ballad. I have described what it is, and I have given an overview of ballad. But as I told you, there can be really tricky questions that can be asked for examinations from the ballad portions, like they may give a list of ballads, and the question will be identify literary ballad. There may be 4 titles. You have to identify the literary ballad. So you need to know in detail for competitive examinations. So for general users, I think it was really fine. And but of course, I need your responses. So please comment, and also please forward your suggestions to improve myself and the quality of the video of the channel. And if you find it as a helpful one, please don't forget to subscribe and share it to your friends. So we shall meet again with another video on another topic. Until then, bye bye.